Congressman Garcia, thank you for making the time for me today. I know you're an incredibly busy guy, despite the fact that Mike Johnson wanted to send you guys all home. He was like, get out of here. We can't have these Epstein files getting voted on or talked about anymore. Get everybody out of here. What did you feel like when he did that?
It's crazy. I mean, look, they'll do everything they can to essentially cover up for Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Donald Trump is clearly hiding something. He spent his entire campaign, his entire political life talking about releasing the Epstein files. His family's been obsessed with it. All of MAGA has been obsessed with it. And then now all of a sudden that he actually has access to them and his Department of Justice told him that he's in them, which we know has been reported out. Mike Johnson wants to basically send people home because he does not want to release the files and upset, obviously, his head honcho, Donald Trump. And so we got to get these files released. We put out a subpoena for them. We got bipartisan support. At the end of the day, this is about justice for these victims. It's also about holding accountability and holding Donald Trump accountable for what he did. If he did something, we should know. And by the way, whoever did anything, like people say, oh, well, who might be in those files, what party, how influential they are. I don't care.
Same.
Who cares? If you're in there and you did something horrible and you were abused young women and children, then you've got to be held accountable.
Absolutely. Now, I've been covering this, and the thing we've been covering is really trying to reset the narrative that surrounds Ghislaine Maxwell. We talk so much about Epstein. It's undeniable. Everybody knows he was a disgusting abomination of a human. I don't think there's a lot of people sticking up for Epstein, but there is an increasing amount of the right that's trying to stick up for Ghislaine Maxwell, trying to paint her as a victim, trying to say, oh, she didn't know what she was doing. She was too scared to speak at her own trial. We have to hear from her. Now, you did say that you're going to have her testify in front of Congress and talk about what she knows. Some folks think, why do we need to do that when we could just hear from the victims? Should we be allowing this woman any platform? What's the thought behind trying to get her into Congress to testify for you guys and answer your questions?
Yeah, this is first. It's really important that what you said first is really critical. She is not a good person. Let's be clear. This is someone that has been convicted. We're talking about sexual abuse, someone that facilitated horrific things and caused massive amounts of violence and trauma on a lot of people. So, and she's a known liar. So that's all true.
She did catch that perjury also. Yeah, she got a perjury charge.
All of that's true. At the same time, anyone that wants to give us information about what's in those files, we should listen to. I think that's important, whoever that person is. But in this case, what's really important is that we know that she is going to try to get a reduced sentence or a pardon, of course, out of Donald Trump. That's facts. And so the only way to corroborate anything that she says is if we actually get our hands on the Epstein files and documents and videos ourselves. We know that if she is going to say something to Congress in a deposition, whether it's closed doors or open door Congress deposition, it has to actually be corroborated by actual facts and evidence. We just can't take what she's saying to be true. And so that part's really important. And so anyone that wants to speak about what happened, we should listen to. But in her case, we have to be very critical about what she says, knowing that she has an ulterior motive and that she also is not a very good person.
Course. Now, we do have the list of evidence. I was able to publish that. It was on justice.gov. I don't know if they meant to take that down, but I got it before they did, where it shows the boxes of CDs that he has, the photograph albums, the 10 yearbooks that they collected in evidence from Jeffrey Epstein's home. Are we talking about matching her kind of like testimony with this evidence list? A lot of folks are also worried that the DOJ could have destroyed evidence. Is there just one copy of this stuff, or is it sort of backed up and we can cross-check it?
A lot of career FBI officials have been involved in this case, and so I'd like to think that there's too many folks that know what's going on for there to be a destruction of evidence. But we're not. I don't put anything past Donald Trump and Pam Bondi, right? Nothing past these guys. These guys are the most corrupt people ever to be in the White House. Now, the other thing that's really important here is, and relates to the documents. One is I want people to know we're going to first and foremost protect the victims. And so I don't think in any situation should we be releasing information or documents, anything that hurts or re-victimizes people. Like that's something that we're trying to really center in this work. And at the same time, we have to make sure that the public now has access to what's declassified, that victims, of course, are redacted, and we've got to get it out to the public. Because if Donald Trump has been screaming and yelling that we're going to release these files, then let's release them. And he's clearly now hiding something. And Mike Johnson, quite frankly, is now complicit in this cover-up. Republicans are now complicit in this cover-up. If you're voting no on releasing these files for spending years saying they should be out there, then that's a real issue. And it's not just, by the way, like you just said, it's not just files. There's a ton of videos, other types of documents, books, artifacts. So it's a bunch of things that we're trying to get a hold of. And it's not just from the Department of Justice.
Mm,
We're also working right now with the Epstein estate, who we know, for example, have that infamous book, that the
mm-hmm,
note that Donald Trump sent him on that birthday note that Donald Trump says doesn't exist, or he never wrote, which is a lie, clearly.
mm.
Uh, we're working on all of that, and hopefully we'll get it all uncovered over the next few weeks and get everything out to the public.
It does seem like Mark Epstein, Jeffrey's brother, has been cooperative so far with trying to make sure that people are getting some of the stuff they're asking for. Are you in touch with him? Is that what you mean by the Epstein estate, or is it's much bigger than that?
Yeah, the Epstein estate is separate than that. However, I want to be clear: we are working with a lot of folks.
Mm,
We've had whistleblowers. We're reaching out to different people that had different relationships. We have our own work and body of evidence that oversight committee has collected over the years on this
mm,
case that we're reviewing, and so there's a lot of moving parts here, and a lot of really kind of talented researchers and lawyers are on this issue right now on the Democratic side, because we know we can't trust the Department of Justice. We
mm,
can't trust Donald Trump. But what we do know is that we got to get the truth out there.
mm.
I'll tell you, I'm back home in California. I can't go anywhere. I was at the barber yesterday, and my barber the entire time was like talking to me about the Epstein files. I mean, people are
It's a big
really
thing. Hmm.
interested in this, and they feel betrayed by Donald Trump. And
Hmm.
if Donald Trump's going to lie to you about this, he's going to lie to you about everything. He's going to lie. He's going to rip away your health care. He's going to tax breaks to billionaires, and he's going to
Hmm.
lie to you about this really disturbing case and this
Hmm.
horrific person who harmed so many young girls and women. I think it's important we get the truth out there.
Are you guys able to work with the local governments also? Like we know that Epstein operated in Florida, maybe less cooperation from the state of Florida, given their history with this case, but like the state of New York or the state of New Mexico, both have Democratic governors. Are we involving those folks to see if there's anything that could be done at the state level to help bring you more information and get this put out to the public?
I will say that we are our approach is everything's on the table.
Yeah.
So we're looking at everything, all avenues. We're partnering with all sorts of folks on the committee. I mean, Ro Khanna, for example, is
Hmm.
especially really focused on the Epstein estate and this kind of birthday book and what they have, and I'm working with him on that. Other members are working other angles. So we have a approach right now that is pretty wide. But our top priority is getting those actual full files right
Hmm.
there. That's something that now we Democrats forced to vote right in committee and on the oversight committee. We actually had a couple of Republicans join all the Democrats on that committee 8-2 to pass the actual subpoena. And so we got to get the subpoena out first. So James Comer right now has said he's going to subpoena the files. He's mandated to by Congress, and so we're pushing that to happen. That's got to happen first. Once we subpoena those files, there's a lot of other work and other things that folks are going to hear about that we're doing in the future.
Good. I'm glad to hear it. And honestly, having Democratic governors in New York and New Mexico, especially right now, I think gives us a great advantage considering the fact that it was a Republican governor in New Mexico that sold Epstein the Zorro Ranch back in the day. So I know there's a lot of folks out there that are frustrated. There are a lot of people who weren't victimized by Epstein, but were victims of sexual assault in their own lives that are feeling, that this is an egregious issue that our government on certain sides won't back them up on. And it's like re-victimizing people who weren't even Epstein victims, but have been victims of systemic silence when it comes to sexual abuse. So I just want to say on behalf of them and myself, I'm really grateful for everything that you guys are doing. I know it's really difficult to be working with the other side of the aisle now, especially as, the MAGA king is sort of centered in this in some form. What is it that keeps you going? What is it that gives you the drive to say, like, I am going to expose to the light the most ugly thing potentially in all of American history, and I'm going to do it in a way where people can maintain their trust in us and feel safe in us doing that?
I think there's two things that are really driving me and others right now. I think one is, the more that we've engaged, and obviously I've been, the kind of Democratic lead on this committee just for about a month, and so I've been
Yeah.
thrown into all this, and
First thing, Robert. First thing.
I
They're
know,
like
I know.
Epstein files. Get ready.
Hey, we're going to be very aggressive. This is
Yeah.
the new all different oversight committee, and so I think that one thing that's really important is the more that we've been engaged, the more I'm hearing the stories from the victims and hearing some of these horrific. I mean, just you can't
It's
really
unfathomable.
comprehend what has happened to essentially in some cases children,
Mm,
teenagers, obviously minors, other women, people that have had to um, just the abuse and the violence and the trauma is it should drive our work. And I even, I had been a kind of casual kind of follower of this horrific story in the past, but now that I'm in it, I'm disgusted and I'm really motivated for to get justice for folks.
Mhm.
That's one piece. It's really the most important. Then the second piece I think is also important for a lot of folks is when you have the president of the United States claiming that this is a key part of what he's going to do, and then he completely just flip flops. The question becomes, what's he hiding?
Right.
And so, if we're going to restore trust in government, if we're actually, this is about ensuring that we actually are not the powerful aren't preying on young people and on children. We've
Mhm.
got to expose those folks. And that's why I keep saying this. Like, I don't care how rich you are, what political party you're in, what job you had, if you're a president, who cares? If you have done something or you're in these files, we're going to release them.
Mhm.
And nobody should get away with this kind of these horrific actions. And I think it's important to restore trust for everyone that we put it all out on the table.
That's something I've appreciated about your leadership on this particular aspect is so much of the news media and even the public to some level will focus on just the highest profile people, right? We always anytime this comes up, it's Trump, Bill Clinton, and Prince Andrew. But through your leadership, we've really been seeing those other names that victims have named brought up. And like you said, this is justice for everyone. It's not a partisan thing. This is an American issue, an American history issue, and he didn't just abuse Republicans or just abuse Democrats. It wasn't just Republicans or Democrats in those island flights. This was an issue with the elite, with the rich and powerful, and with the taboo of these people thinking that they were above the law. And I'm really grateful to you that at least this new generation of leadership is seemingly ready to expose it, no matter who it takes down, because, like you said, it should take down anybody who committed these crimes.
That's right. That's exactly right. We're going to get to the bottom of this, and that's something that we're committed to.
Well, I appreciate you so much. Thanks for giving me the time today. Get back to work. And if there's anything that we can do to help get those out there and help with victim services, I'm always here for you guys too.
Thanks so much. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.